After 7 years on the run, murder-accused Gerhard Jansen van Vuuren finally appears in the dock of the Johannesburg High Court. Shackled in leg irons, he stares blankly ahead as Judge 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗶𝗴𝗆 appoints a lawyer from legal aid to defend him. He's facing trial for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old accountant Andrea Venter.
She was a gift from God for me.
In 2014, Carte Blanche interviewed Andrea's parents, Dries and Annetjie Venter. They described a violent relationship of emotional and physical abuse, which ended in Andrea obtaining a protection order against Gerhard. That didn't prevent him from stalking her and tracking her down to her flat in Fourways. In May 2011, he held her captive for an entire weekend.
He got hold of her and he did everything he wanted to. That blonde hair was pink with blood. This eyelid was cut open. The jaw was broken, the nose was broken.
In his flat was blood of her.
In his flat.
But early on Monday morning at Sibaya Sands, CCTV footage shows she managed to escape from him and ran screaming to the guardhouse 150 meters away. Despite the neighbors and the guard going to investigate, nobody could intervene as Van Vuuren chased her with a knife.
Yes, and stabbed her from the back.
Stabbed her all the time.
12 times in the back.
The footage shows as Andrea reached the guardhouse, Van Vuuren slit her throat in front of everyone. He then stabbed himself in the neck before lying down next to her body and casually removing a belt he had tied around her neck. He threw the belt into the flower bed and then repositioned her body. With a crowd of onlookers gathered around, he lay there with his hand covering his wound, waiting for the paramedics to arrive. This is where Andrea Venter's life was taken with such shocking brutality in May 2011. It was captured on video. Eyewitnesses saw it happen, and the suspect was in custody. Justice should have been swift and certain, but that's not what happened.
So the police successfully opposed bail twice in the magistrate's court. My evidence or my report was one of the key elements opposing the bail.
In 2011, Dr. Gerhard Jansen was a police brigadier in charge of the investigative psychology unit.
You have a person who breaks the rules. You give him a set of rules, like a protection order, and he ignores them. Therefore, if you give him a set of rules in terms of bail instructions, he's going to ignore them most likely.
Jansen van Vuuren took his bail application on appeal to the Johannesburg High Court, where he was finally granted bail.
Definitely, there are multiple examples of where the justice system failed Andrea Venter before the murder and after the murder.
Gerhard's parents divorced when he was 2. Gerhard Sr. supported him in court, but once on bail, he went to live with his mother, Tia Pretorius.
Gerhard is a product of gender violence. He grew up with his father and he never really were taught respect towards women.
Tia left her abusive marriage when she felt her life was in danger. But that meant Gerhard's worldview was shaped by his late father.
He admitted to me one day that he was still in primary school and he was addicted to pornography because his father had it all around in the house. And he said to me, "Mom, my father used to beat me so violently all the time that in the end, pain became pleasure for me." How distorted.
After 18 months of freedom, Jansen van Vuuren skipped bail and left the country.
I knew he was going to skip the country, and me and his father helped him with certain things. His father took him through the night before he was supposed to appear in court, took him through to Durban, and he flew from Durban.
He boarded an Emirates flight at King Shaka International Airport and flew to Brazil via Dubai. So what did you help him with?
He needed a passport. So he had a friend, I think he paid the guy 5,000 rand to get a passport in his name. And eventually I said, why don't you just give him one of your photographs to be added on the passport and see if it's going to work. So they did it, and in the end, he got the passport.
Why were you okay with that?
I've got no excuse for that. I'm just a mother, and unfortunately, afterwards I felt very guilty about it.
I think the mother obviously dealing with the difficulties of being a mother but also being an upstanding citizen, then did contact me and say she has information as to where he had gone, and that information was crucial for us to be able to convey that to the Brazilian police.
In 2013, advocate 𝗀𝗁𝗍𝗍 was Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in charge of extradition. Before that, he'd spent 17 years in The Hague at the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, working alongside Judge Richard Goldstone. Experienced in extraditing war criminals, he now turned his attention to Jansen van Vuuren.
So we prepared the papers. We had a warrant and we had DNA and we had all his passports, because at that time we already knew that he had another name. He used Daniel Maton, for example.
Brazil granted the extradition request and Jansen van Vuuren was arrested in Rio de Janeiro in August 2013. But he was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment for entering the country on a false passport and had to complete that sentence before being returned to South Africa. Inexplicably, he was released in 2015 without being extradited.
Allegedly, there was a judge that came into the prison and said this man has served his sentence and he should be released. So the head of the prison said, but that cannot happen because he's got a pending case to be extradited to South Africa. And they said, no. I said, no, he must be released. But unfortunately, up till today, we don't know the true reason why that happened. But he was freed again. And that was devastating, I must admit.
That made me furious. Because they should have handed him over to Interpol, and Interpol should have brought him to South Africa. And it was never done.
Dries Venter still lives in Rustenburg. His wife Anneke passed away in 2016 and he's since remarried. But his life is consumed with seeking justice for Andrea. The accused simply disappeared into a country of 200 million people. Interpol followed every lead but couldn't trace him. And after 5 years, it seemed he would get away with it. But this year, there was a breakthrough.
Gerhard got a hold of me via Facebook. And he found me. And then he told me about the little girl he had, and she turned 1 year old in September now.
He told his wife he was from the Netherlands and never mentioned the murder charges. He seemed so comfortable in his new role as a family man that he forgot he was also a wanted man.
Every contact leaves a trace, and that's normally referring to physical touch. The police can find some evidence, but it also refers to digital information. So whenever there was movement, perhaps on social media or on phone calls or WhatsApp messages, there was always an attempt to try and follow those up.
Through meticulous detective work, they traced the accused to an address in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro.
It was really good intelligence that our police and the Interpol guys and the Brazilian police followed up. And, they did their homework very, very well before they moved in. And, they went also at night to make sure that he is at the place, not to tip him off and that type of thing. They opened the door. He was there with his wife and his little kid, and they, in fact, sent me the photos. And, I was so pleased when I saw that.
He was arrested on the 18th of June by the Brazilian Federal Police and held in custody at the department's headquarters. 4 members of South Africa's Interpol unit then collected him in Rio de Janeiro and escorted him back to OR Tambo, where he was greeted by more police and the media. The wheels of justice are about to turn full circle. After 7 years on the run, Jansen van Vuuren is back at the Johannesburg High Court to face the music. This time, there'll be no escape. His pre-trial hearing is set for the 27th of November, and Dries will be there to give him this letter.
My vrou is oorlede as gevolg van hartseer. Wat jy veroorsaak deur Andrea dood te maak. Eintlik is jy verantwoordelik vir my vrou se dood ook. Met ander woorde, 2 moorde.
Has he ever mentioned Andrea's name? Has he ever shown remorse for killing her?
No. He's never shown remorse, not that I know of. It really was asked if he thinks that that's what she deserved.
Equally worrying are recent threats he allegedly made when his mother visited him in the Randburg police cells.
But it's still my child. I cannot throw him away. But the way that he was really that day sitting there and telling me, if I get out of here, everybody of you people that are involved in this and want to see me now going to jail, when I get there, I will kill everybody. I will take them all out. And he told me that he will take me out.